They've been missing for a while. The guys that brought all-wheel drive to rallying, the guys that brought us funky LED daytime running lights and sleek cabin designs. In recent years, they've kind of fallen short on these wow factors. Until now. Because Audi is making a really strong comeback with its Sportbacks. That dramatic signature sloping roofline that gives their cars a coupe silhouette, whether in a sedan like the Audi A5 Sportback or a compact SUV like the Audi Q3 Sportback, has never looked better. But we'll be focusing on this Audi Q3 Sportback. We're here in Putrajaya to get some pictures of it. After that, we're going to go to Looong to have some seafood, and then we're going to end the day at a place that I've not been in a long time, the beach. After 3 years at AutoBuzz, this is actually the first ever Audi I'm reviewing. How did it take so long? I remember the last Audi I reviewed with the previous publication was the pre-facelift Audi A4 B9, and the one thing I remember from that experience was it was really smooth, very fluid. And this, I can tell you after driving it for the last few days, is no different. Well, I suppose the first thing to do when you get a new car is to test power lah. So let's see, from 60 kilometers an hour.
In 400
wow.
meters, keep left.
It just picks up and goes. May not seem like a lot of power on paper, but in the real world, pretty sure there's plenty enough for you to have a little fun with. It makes 180 horsepower and 320 Newton meters. All this is from a 2-litre turbocharged engine paired to a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox to drive all 4 wheels through Audi's Quattro permanent all-wheel drive system. I think for a car that costs 300,000 ringgit, the stability and assurance that it can offer you is one of the best. And when you're going through the bends and the curves, you feel the extra traction, the extra grip, as if the car is clawing onto the road. Makes you feel confident. It feels good. In fact, and I'm not exaggerating, it's so stable that sometimes I catch myself going a lot faster than I think I am. You're just cruising along the overtaking lane. Next thing you know, you look at the meter, you're like, what? I'm way over the speed limit. And then you slow down. And at high speeds, the other thing that I've noticed is how quiet the cabin is, how well insulated it is. And it's perfect because the sound system in here, although it's not the high-end Bang & Olufsen or whatever, just the standard Audi MMI system, the sound system is actually very impressive. The bass is so strong on this. And I haven't even switched on the bass full yet. This is only halfway. Yep. The younger demographic would definitely enjoy the sound system on this car. This can be a real long distance cruiser. I can so see myself cruising at a slightly higher speed, just gliding along the highway, peace and calm, quality sound system. Whew. Perhaps the most charming bit of the Q3 Sportback is how it looks on the outside. The squared, sharp edges on the LED headlights and tail lights makes it look more futuristic than anything out there with a 300,000 ringgit price tag. Together with the black appearance package and the massive signature grille, the Q3 Sportback just looks so menacing. It's not perfect though, there are some drawbacks. The seats, for example, the padding, really comfortable, but it's just not supportive enough. The rib support is so wide, it feels like it's for a big German. But for an Asian spec human like me, it's just too loose, there's too much movement. While there's plenty of power and stability around the corners, there are some drawbacks in the driving experience. And it's this dual clutch gearbox. I mean, because Audi and VW is from the same company, you'd assume that it's the same gearbox, it will perform the same way, but no. This one, for some reason, it's a little sluggish. It's perfectly fine when you're cruising slowly or cruising at a higher speed, but in stop-go traffic, coming out of junctions, you want to overtake somebody, it's just a little slow to react. It's not very responsive. It's half a second slower. So much so that I have to put the transmission into sport and leave the drive mode in comfort, just so I can get the car to be a bit more responsive. And the other thing is, while the car may look good, very funky, in my opinion, there are some drawbacks to this design. The bonnet, for example, quite high. I notice I have to be seated higher than usual to see out of the car. Rear visibility is as expected because of the dramatically sloping roofline, so your windshield is super slanted. Your view is not exactly limited, but can be a lot better if you ask me, but that's the thing, right? You want something that looks like that, you have to deal with the slight drawbacks lah. I guess one example is like wearing high heels. Perhaps girls can relate. They make them look really attractive, but man, half the time their feet hurts, they're struggling to walk, all for the sake of looking good. It's quite fuel economical in the real world. We've been clocking 10 to 11 litres per 100 kilometers consistently. The only drawback perhaps is on the safety front. There's no autonomous emergency braking like you'd get in other cars of this bracket. I think for something of this size, this price point, there's really nothing like it. It really does pop, stands out. I've noticed people taking a peek at it, and these are the guys that are driving BMWs, Mercedeses. It's a fashion statement. I think the kind of people that this car would attract are not bargain hunters, but instead, there are those who wouldn't mind spending a few $100, maybe even a few $1,000 on a pair of super torn, super ripped jeans with barely any fabric, and yet they will still go, whoa, cool, nice, it's different. I really like those 19-inch Audi Sport wheels with a matte titanium finish. Complements the exterior so well, and no Audi would be complete without funky dynamic turn signals. Whether or not you're enthusiastic about Audi cars, I think it's quite hard to ignore or even deny that this car looks really fierce, very cool. At 300,000 ringgit, you got so many options. You have the Lexus UX, the Lexus NX even, the XC40, the GLA 250, the X1, the X2, which is the direct competitor of this car, and then the X3 even, with the newly launched entry-level model. But you don't buy this because of its value for money. You buy this because it's different. It's not so different that it would scare people away. Oh, what's this new thing? Is it okay or not? Can drive or not? But it's different enough to stand out, like I said. I think this should at least be considered if you're looking to upgrade from, I don't know, a 3 Series or an A-Class. You want to sit a little higher, you want to size up a bit, but you don't want an SUV looking thing. You don't want to give the impression that you're ready to settle down or be a parent. You still get the space, you still get the practicality, but it looks a whole lot more sportier, a lot more youthful. This is quite a spread, man. We got kangkong over there, we have lala mi hoon, we have steamed prawns, we have kamhyong lala. What a shoot this is turning out to be. You see why they call it the baby Urus, right? It's got this wide stance, makes it look really fierce, really planted. But I think what really pops about this car's exterior is that section above the rear wheels, those extended haunches that makes it look so muscular, so aggressive. That was quite a meal. The other thing I want to talk about are those wheels. Looks quite small, right? But no, they're actually 19 inches in size, but because of how the wheel arches are designed and how the car looks, it actually looks proportionate to the size of the car. And they may look very simple, but there's actually quite a lot of drama to it if you look closer. I like how the different spokes have different length finishing in them. It also comes with the Audi Sport name at the edge of the rim. All in all, I think it actually matches the car quite well. PC is not going to be happy about this claim. I'm just kidding. It's actually quite reasonable for 4 dishes. Right, so to our final destination, we're going to head to the beach, but instead of me driving, I'm going to check out the back seat. I'm so glad I don't have to drive after such a heavy meal. Just chill in the back seat, kick back and relax. In fact, there's more than enough room back here for you to not feel uncomfortable. Perhaps the only thing is just enough headroom, but for knee room and leg room, no problem at all. I can totally see myself and at least another friend being back here on a road trip. You also get your rear aircon vents, but on those long road trips, not having rear USB ports I think can be a little inconvenient. Speaking of storage, they've even gone the extra mile by providing a little more space by the bottom of your thigh here to store your items. Here's what I think is also quite smart. You can actually move your seat back and forth to free up more space in the boot. But once you've moved the seat forward, you can't actually recline. What's the point? I think you would need to recline because it does feel like you're seated a little too upright. Otherwise, I think the experience here is just nice. The ride is not too bumpy, it's comfortable enough, the view outside is not limited, it doesn't feel claustrophobic, and in terms of sound insulation, I think for a car this price is not bad. So before we check out the boot and enjoy the rest of the evening, I'd like to sum up this dashboard / interior design. I think it's got a modern upmarket feel, especially with these silver trims and this finishing over here. But there's also an actual feeling of quality in here, especially when you press the buttons, when you twist the knobs. It all just feels very expensive, very well put together. I think that's very typical of an Audi. The infotainment display is large enough, very easy to use, very intuitive, but I especially appreciate the fact that they provided a standard USB port to go with the USB Type-C port. What I also found a little odd is the position of this armrest. If you're seated a little higher like me, this feels a little low. The car kind of looks really rugged with all this debris and dirt on it, don't you think? Anyways, what I've been waiting for the entire day. So the boot is rated at 530 litres and you can lower the boot floor to make it a little deeper. As you can see, we've got a massive full-size icebox over here, we've got a big bag over there for all our camera equipment, and we've got my backpack over here. I think if you have to, you can easily fit a minimum of 2 full-size luggages, if not at least 5 cabin-size luggages. Now, without further ado, let's get this icebox out and end the day. Whose idea was this to bring such a big heavy icebox without any wheels? So, is the Audi Q3 Sportback the car for you? If you think for 300,000 ringgit you can get a whole lot more car for the money with a lot more features, you're definitely right, but then it's not for you. But if you're the type that doesn't mind paying a few hundred, maybe even a few thousand for torn jeans, you want something that's more than just a car, something that's a statement, something that stands out. And more importantly, if you want something that's the closest to a Mercedes GLC Coupe or a BMW X4 but cost more than 100,000 less, then yeah, you should definitely look at one of these. For more information on the new Audi Q3 Sportback, do log on to AutoBuzz.my. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon for the latest notifications on our newest videos.